Do you want to talk about that? And is it publishable or not?
Uh, my issue, and I had this in my last relationship, is I don't believe in privacy for myself. I don't share other people's business. But I always think that what's the point of us all living these private, secret little lives? There's the reason we love authors and brilliant authors is because they share their deepest, darkest, and then they make us feel less alone. I think it's publishable, but I don't know. I came home one day in Amman, and my dad was sitting on the floor, and all our furniture was gone, and he was eating kebab. He was like, "Hi, Dunia," and he was in a dishdasha. It's like, "Yeah, so we're moving, and all your stuff is gone." And I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" He was like, "Oh, it's okay, it's going to be an adventure." So we went to London, and so my dad, I explained to you, his parents died when he was 16. He lost all of his money. He fought in 2 wars. He was a soldier. He was a pacifist, so he'd always get out by doing certain jobs. But, it was still their experiences. He has PTSD. Soldiers have PTSD. It's a terrible thing. And that came out on mostly me. I don't know why. I think we were very close. And I had never seen his temper until the day we moved to London. I was 9 years old, and then our relationship flipped. So we always remained really close, but it was not anything a child should go through, and I internalized a lot of it. And then that lasted until, well into adulthood, but I think when I started getting older, I could create a bit of distance between us, whilst also keeping our friendship, which is very conflicting because he's my best friend also with my brother. I'm the only one who ever provoked him, because I always he raised me to have a strong character, and so of course it was going to come back to bite him. So I always said what I felt, and I was a child at the time, and we were struggling financially, and we just moved, and everything was scary, and it's a European country. And so also for him, it was a mix of, I have disappointed you, or I'm disappointing you, but you are actively reflecting it back to me, so it's an inner guilt, and then I'm just going to project it back at you. So I was blamed for a lot of things, even though I was a child. And yeah, it was just a lot of anger and shouting. And then, of course, always, I love you, like you're my best friend, you're my favorite daughter, his only daughter. And then we're best friends again. And so this common theme, which is anytime there's a fight, anyone else who knows us says, Ahmed loves Dunia, like no one loves his daughter more than your dad, we all know this. I think it affected me, now I'm realizing, as an adult. So when I was young, of course, I'd get upset and I would go to school, and there was one teacher I would tell her, and I had anger problems in school and no one else knew where it was coming from. I would tell my mom would just ignore it and say, it's your dad, what do you want me to do? So there was no one that could hear me. My brother was too young. And all of my friends, your dad is so wonderful, how could you say that about him? So I was completely alone for years. And I would try to talk to him about it. So when he's feeling nice, I'm so sorry. And it's like Jekyll and Hyde, completely different person. So I gave up on trying to, even now, I gave up on trying to work out these problems. At this age, a lot of people talk about this, which is you start to parent your parents. So now I try to, the only way I deal with it is, you're not doing well, so I'm going to walk away until you calm down. Of course, I'm met with, how dare you say that? It's okay. But if you meet it from a place of compassion, then I think that's the best way to calm someone down who you know is a good person. Because we all know people who are good on the surface, but deep down they're rotten. No one is really rotten, but but my dad is just like a white soul. He's just so clean and kind and wonderful, but everything on the outside is corrupted. But also what this has taught me is that we should meet ourselves with compassion and meet people with compassion, which is why I'm not really a fan of boundaries and stuff, because I think we lose a lot of people and experiences along the way if we start putting up boundaries and protecting ourselves, because life is complicated and people have been through complicated things. So, but I'm not going to say to you that it hasn't affected who I am. I'm the feeling lost with my careers and who I am and my confidence and relationships can all be traced back to this. However, some people grow up in really good environments. They became a doctor, they got married, they had the children, and then they have a midlife crisis. So I think the default of life being good and linear is not true. It's a myth. And it's okay if this is how I was raised and I was unfortunate enough to go through a situation like this. Who said I was supposed to have an easy childhood? Who said I was supposed to be married by now with children and be super happy and oblivious to the world? I don't have to be. Life is complicated. There's ants being stepped on every day, so I'm doing pretty well.